Imagine for a moment that you're Albert Einstein and you've just had a moment of inspiration. The theory of relativity has just become clear to you. Matter and energy are not distinct. Matter can be transformed into energy, and the conversion will unleash a greater force than the world has ever seen. If you're right about this theory, the Great War will be over, and the course of history will be changed forever. But you know that to test the theory, you must gain access to the right people who have the resources, knowledge, and contacts necessary to put the theory into practice. Einstein was right about his theory. He found the right people, convinced them it would work, and the consciousness of the world was transformed.
I am very grateful for all the good that everyone has done. I'm grateful for the chance that we've had to connect people and help them transform good intentions into measurable actions. But there are still too many people dying from preventable diseases, too many billions living in poverty, too many children who don't go to school, too much damage being done to the planet, and too many people fighting over their identities as if conflict is inevitable and in some cases mandated by their faith. We don't need any more meetings where people just learn and talk. We need meetings where people figure out how to do.
I'll go home today saying, what can I do that could make a difference? Not just tomorrow morning, but over the next decade.
Today, there is great ferment in the marketplace of ideas, giving birth to a whole generation of social ventures in such areas as social networking, social marketing, green business, collaborative problem solving, social search and social shopping, microfinance, socially responsible investing, user-generated content, online community building, social media, venture philanthropy, and social enterprise. The social economy is exploding with potentially game-changing ideas. Each in their own way could alter the course of history. But all these highly motivated and well-intentioned people face essentially the same challenge faced by Einstein: how to connect and collaborate with other people who can help them build, test, fund, and scale their vision. If we are to meet the challenges posed by increasingly large and complex social, environmental, and economic problems, we must find a way to empower the social economy by making this process of collaborating, funding, and scaling much more efficient and effective. In sum, we need a vision that enables us to connect the dots between programs, people, ideas, and resources that are working in their own way to make the world a better place. The time is ripe for another moment of great inspiration, another transformative vision that enables a breakthrough of historical significance, a systemic shift in the way we address global problems that creates economic incentives for major financial institutions, corporations, nonprofit groups, and ordinary citizens to get involved in a way they've never been involved before. Einstein again gives us the cue we need for this big idea. He said, "Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts." Einstein was talking about the limitations of markets. He was talking about the question of value. What determines the value of something? In a market-based economy, the market is the final arbiter of value. But as Einstein suggests, value and values are not distinct. Just as matter can be transformed into energy, values can be transformed into value. Meaning need not be distinct from money. Meaningful activity can be transformed into money. Social organizations dedicated to meaningful activity in solving pressing global and environmental problems need not be starved of the capital they need to accomplish their goals. But how?
We asked, how could the world let these children die? The answer is simple and harsh. The market did not reward saving the lives of these children, and governments did not subsidize it. So the children died because their mothers and fathers had no power in the market and no voice in the system. But you and I have both. We can make market forces work better for the poor if we can develop a more creative capitalism.
The market is the closest thing we have to an operating system for the global economy. It allocates economic resources and economic power to the various applications much in the same way that a computer's operating system allocates the computer's processing power. Why is this important?
The overriding challenge for our generation is how can we restructure the global economy so that we can sustain economic progress? And how can we do it quickly enough to avoid economic collapse of the sort that afflicted earlier civilizations that were also on an economic path that was environmentally unsustainable?
I'm really scared. I don't think we're going to make it.
The fossil fuel-based, automobile-centered throwaway economy is not going to work for China. If it doesn't work for China, it won't work for India, which by 2031 will have an even larger population. Nor will it work for the other 3 billion people in the developing countries who are also dreaming the American dream. And in an increasingly integrated global economy where we all depend on the same oil, grain, steel, it won't work for us either.
Probably by now, most of you have seen Al Gore's amazing talk. Shortly after I saw that, we had some friends over for dinner with the family. The conversation turned to global warming, and everybody agreed there's a real problem. We've got a climate crisis. So we went round the table to talk about what we should do. The conversation came to my 15-year-old daughter, Mary. She said, I agree with everything that's been said. I'm scared and I'm angry. And then she turned to me and said, Dad, your generation created this problem. You better fix it. Wow. I got to tell you, for me, everything changed that evening. And if it's business as usual, we're going out of business.
Put simply, the inability of the market-based economy to attach a value to things that are of paramount importance to our society's long-term capability to function on a sustainable basis has created imbalances that ultimately will push us to the point of reckoning.
I sort of have a background mindset of a market system, and a market system works awfully well. It's worked well in this country. But a market system has not worked in terms of people, poor people around the world, with a disease that should be available for just peanuts. Really. It doesn't work because people can't afford to participate. Yeah, the market system just fails in that case, and you have to interject yourself into that and make sure there is a system that will deliver.
What if we were to create new capital markets to serve the social sector in the same way that capital markets today serve the private sector? And what if we were to create a new social currency to monetize the value of social equity in the same way that existing markets monetize the value of financial equity? Social equity is value not fully recognized by the market-based economy. Today, social equity exists primarily as metaphor because there is no way to measure and monetize social equity. Social equity exists wherever you look in our society. Indeed, it's the very fabric of our communities, our culture, and our commerce. Here are but a few forms of social equity that will be monetized by the iBucks social currency. Community equity. It's time spent advancing the goals or effectiveness of a community or a social network.
So I think that the definition of a social network is going to broaden. It's going to be any sort of social interaction you can have. And I think one of the points I made in the panel is that any transaction, any activity you do will be enhanced through social interactions. So I see that's going to be the future.
Could you see social networking evolving into economic networks?
Absolutely.
One of the most important things they're doing is just building social capital between people that they're doing business interactions with.
Natural equity. It's anything that serves to protect, promote, or preserve the natural environment.
An economy that's largely powered by renewable sources of energy, that has a much more diversified transport system, and that comprehensively reuses and recycles everything. We see glimpses of the new economy now emerging around the world. We see it in the wind farms of Western Europe, the solar rooftops of Japan, growing fleet of hybrid cars in the United States, reforestation of South Korea, the bicycle-friendly streets of Amsterdam. We can see the new economy coming, but it's not coming fast enough.
Educational equity. It's anything that advances the state of learning or provides vitality to a school, a university, or a learning community. Creative equity. It's the creative energy that is expended by an author, an artist, a musician, a filmmaker, a video producer, a photographer, or an editor in the process of creative expression. All these forms of social equity are currently undervalued by the market-based economy. In other words, there is huge untapped economic power in the social economy. And the challenge is to create mechanisms and an infrastructure for the monetization of that economic power and activity.
That's what's kept people together. To the extent that people are able to do something constructive, it's because they have some way of interacting.
The way things change is because lots of people are working all the time. And, they're working in their communities, in their workplace, or wherever they happen to be, and they're building up the basis for popular movement. Anything they do by their own choice, which is a very good situation.
I've always felt it would be a very positive thing, and it should be pushed as far as it can go.